Title: Single dad was quitting his triplets, heard the billionaire CEO crying alone. Mark Reynolds had already written the goodbye email. Not the dramatic kind. Not the "I quit" with fireworks. Just a quiet, dignified resignation typed at 2:17 a.m. in the dim light of his kitchen, while 3 cereal bowls soaked in the sink and overdue bills lay like accusations on the table. He stared at the screen. Effective immediately. After 12 years at Harlow Industries, he was done. Done juggling 2 jobs. Done pretending he could be in 2 places at once. Done apologizing to his daughters for missing school plays because the CEO needed the numbers by morning. Most of all, he was done watching his triplets Emma, Ava, and Lily grow up through blurry security footage from his office laptop. He closed his eyes. "Daddy." 3 small voices. He turned to find them standing at the hallway's edge, identical in their mismatched pajamas, hair tangled from sleep, eyes far too perceptive for 8-year-olds. "Bad dream?" he asked gently. Emma shook her head. "We heard someone crying." Mark forced a tired smile. "It's late, sweetheart. Probably just the wind." But Ava pointed toward the tablet still glowing on the kitchen counter. "No. From your meeting." He followed her finger. He'd forgotten to close the virtual boardroom call. On the screen, the company's skyline office loomed in darkness except for one faintly lit corner office. And from the barely open microphone, a broken sound carried through the speaker. A man's sob. Mark froze. The name on the call window read, Daniel Harlow, CEO. Billionaire. Media darling. The face of corporate grit and global ambition. Crying. Alone. Lily tugged Mark's sleeve. "Why is the boss crying?" Mark didn't know. He had spent years believing Daniel Harlow was untouchable. A man who flew private jets, closed million-dollar deals before breakfast, and fired managers without blinking. Men like that didn't cry. But the sound was unmistakable. Raw. Unfiltered. Without thinking, Emma padded over and pressed the unmute button. "Hello," she said softly. Mark lunged forward. "Emma." But it was too late. On the screen, Daniel Harlow's head jerked up. His usually sharp hair was disheveled. His tie hung loose. His eyes were red. "Who's there?" he demanded, his voice hoarse. "It's Emma," she replied calmly. "My sisters and my dad work for you." There was a long silence. Then Daniel let out a humorless laugh. "I doubt that." "My dad's Mark Reynolds," Ava added proudly. "He does the boring number stuff." Mark wanted the floor to swallow him whole. But something shifted in Daniel's expression. "Reynolds," he murmured. "Finance division." "Yes, sir," Mark said, finally stepping into view. "I'm sorry." "My daughters." Daniel raised a hand. "It's fine." His composure cracked again, and he turned his face away. The girls exchanged a look. "Are you sad?" Lily asked. Mark expected the call to disconnect. Instead, Daniel whispered, "My son is in the hospital." The words hung heavy in the air. "He was in an accident tonight," Daniel continued. "I was in a meeting. I didn't answer his call." His voice broke. "I built this empire to give him everything. And I wasn't there when he needed me." Mark felt something twist in his chest. He looked at his resignation email still open on the laptop. He looked at his daughters. And suddenly, the lines between billionaire and single dad disappeared. There was only one thing left, a father. Emma climbed onto Mark's lap. "My daddy misses stuff too sometimes," she said honestly. "But he always says sorry. And then he makes pancakes." Daniel blinked, caught off guard. "Pancakes?" he asked weakly. "With too much syrup," Ava said. "And he lets us burn the first one," Lily added, smiling. Mark swallowed the lump in his throat. "Sir," he said quietly, "money builds buildings. But time builds memories." Daniel closed his eyes. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Emma did what only a child would dare. "Do you want us to pray for your son?" Mark's heart nearly stopped. He wasn't even sure what Daniel believed. But the billionaire CEO nodded. "Yes," he whispered. "Please." So 3 small girls, sitting in a modest kitchen in a rented townhouse, bowed their heads for a man whose net worth could buy the entire block. They prayed for a boy they'd never met. For healing. For forgiveness. For another chance. When they finished, Daniel was crying again, but this time, something softer glowed in his expression. "Thank you," he said. "You have no idea what that means." Mark hesitated, then spoke carefully. "Sir, I was about to resign tonight." Daniel's eyes snapped up. "Because I can't keep missing their lives," Mark continued. "I thought success meant surviving. But maybe it means showing up." Silence. Then Daniel surprised him. "Come to the hospital," he said. Mark blinked. "Sir, I've spent years surrounded by executives who fear me. Tonight I realized I don't have a single real friend." His voice steadied. "If you're willing, I could use one." Mark looked at his daughters. They nodded vigorously. 45 minutes later, in the sterile glow of a private hospital suite, the girls stood on tiptoes beside a pale teenage boy hooked to monitors. Daniel watched as they placed handmade friendship bracelets pulled from their own wrists onto his son's arm. "For when you wake up," Emma said softly. Mark stood beside Daniel. 2 fathers. No titles. No status. Just fear and hope. Hours passed. At 5:12 a.m., the boy's fingers twitched. Then his eyes fluttered open. "Dad," he croaked. Daniel collapsed into tears of relief, gripping his son's hand. "I'm here," he whispered. "I'm right here." And this time, he meant it. He never left the room. 3 months later, Mark sat in the same kitchen. But this time, there were no unpaid bills on the table. And no resignation email. Instead, there was a letter from Daniel Harlow himself. Not a promotion. Not a bonus. A partnership. Daniel had restructured the company, implementing family-first policies, flexible hours, and mandatory leadership time off. He'd even started a foundation funding hospital support programs for working parents. When reporters asked what sparked the change, he simply said, "3 little girls reminded me what wealth really means." Mark now worked fewer hours and more intentionally. Every Saturday was pancake morning. No exceptions. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the rooftops, Lily asked, "Daddy, did we save the company?" Mark smiled. "No, sweetheart," he said. "You saved a dad. And in doing so, they saved their own. Because sometimes the greatest act of kindness isn't a grand gesture. It's pressing unmute. It's listening. It's showing up." And in a world that measures success in billions, 3 small girls proved that compassion is the only currency that truly multiplies. And that's something no one should ever quit on.